wanted to make a film that was very easy to make. I wanted to do something that, because 41 was a nightmare to make. It was a 2-year project and it turned out great, but it was a big deal of time. So
he'd finished making 41 and was getting the bug again for wanting to make another film.
I spoke to Glenn, and Glenn basically said he had an idea of kind of a film that he wanted to do. He wanted to do something that was kind of quick and easy to some extent, rather than putting big amount of work into a massive production, like his last production.
I was out somewhere with a friend one day and I for whatever reason I thought a doomsday cult.
Brought up the idea of this cult film and kept talking about it.
I'm not sure where the idea came from, but I'd heard about doomsday cults. I'd always been sort of interested in the idea of a group of people that get together and commit suicide. There's something very, very sinister, very National Geographic.
And just, as Glenn does, just gets it going.
Yeah, his creative genius kind of just flowed.
So I wrote the script maybe in less than a month.
I was somewhat worried that people would think Glenn is a little disturbed.
I'd seen the Blair Witch Project when I was a lot younger, and that very much influenced me.
I was intrigued by it. I thought it was an interesting idea, and then the way that it was going to be filmed was also quite intriguing. I mean, I know it's been done before with other movies, but I'd never actually done a movie like that. And so the whole process of doing it that way and getting so much done so quickly quite intrigued me.
Well, I've got to do a found footage style film. I'd always wanted to do one, never had a good idea for it. This idea came along and that's where it all started. So we set aside a couple of days for the auditions for the film, and that happened pretty quickly after this. I wanted to get this movie happening very fast because I was going to get married in November. So I thought, let's get this movie, let's get it done quick.
I think it was on some sort of like website, just kind of auditions in Melbourne kind of thing. I forget exactly where, and I saw it was like sort of found footage horror film, and I like that kind of thing, so I thought I'd put my name into the mix.
And we got a lot of good people quite quickly. Like I remember when Jeff walked into the room, that was a moment of just being like, excellent.
I don't normally act. I'm more of a, I usually like just direct theatre and every now and again act in a bit of theatre. And but I just moved to Melbourne, so I thought it would be a nice way to roll up my sleeves and get involved in some projects and sort of meet some people and see what comes of it.
I know.
We need to go to the police right now. We've got all of the footage that we need. It's not going to turn into a documentary, it's going to turn into a court case.
I thought the audition was quite good because it was sort of found footage and a lot of that's just kind of improvisational rather than learning lines and delivering lines with the meaningfulness that writers often want.
You'd watch the scene, I'd show the scene to many people afterwards and they all would say, I forgot I was watching a thing then. Like I thought that was his audition tape was a movie, for that little pinch of a moment.
I mean, I got the role, so the audition must have gone okay.
I remember when Ashley came in, Ashley sat down and she was very quiet, very sensitive, and she read the scene very well.
I read all of it sometimes, like everyone else's lines as well, and sometimes I just read my parts, like what I had to say in that. Why is he going to hurt me?
And I remember looking around the room going, we've got her.
But I know from the first day, Glenn had shown me footage of Ashley, and I knew he thought she was really good. So I know it was hard to keep going, and not hard to keep going, but just obviously there was a benchmark that had obviously been set.
Yeah, and then you told me that I got the part, and then when we left, when I got in the car, I was crying.
It's strange though, watching because I knew the content of the film. So it was strange kind of getting the kids and the parents in and then having to try and talk to the parents about this is what's going to happen in the film.
We were at the petrol station and my mum got the email And then she went inside to pay for the petrol, and then I looked at it, I was like,
Zoe came in, and I remember that was a moment when everyone in the room knew that she was right. She was amazing.
We all know that Michael has some part of God in him.
Really?
You don't really expect children, I guess, especially of that age, to be a great actor, but they surprise you. Children, I found, are better actors than adults.
David, I always knew, was Michael Godson. That was just a no-brainer. That was just, you know, who looks like a cult leader? David McRae looks like a cult leader.
And I was actually living overseas in the UK when he contacted me initially and said he was doing this next movie. And sent me like an outline of it and asked me if I was interested, so I read it and said, yes, I am, and I'll be back.
Natalia came in, or Nat came in, and I thought she was great. I think she originally auditioned for Nev.
Every time I leave an audition, I never feel it goes good, ever. I wish I had done this, I wish I did this instead, why didn't I do this, blah, blah, blah. So I didn't leave feeling like I did a good job.
And I think she wasn't right for Nev.
Yeah, I think I sent like saying, hey, thanks for having me, hopefully I hear from you soon, sort of thing. And then Glenn, the director, sent an email saying, you're not right for this, you know, it was nice to meet you, unfortunately we won't be needing you for this film, hopefully we'll contact you soon. And then I wrote back saying, that's fine, what was the feedback, if any, so I can work on it for my next time I audition. And then from that, the director said, well, actually, do you want to do this role instead? So, which was awesome. This totally got it anyway.
Felicity came in and she auditioned, and she was kind of a bit strange.
Look, my dear, Michael and I am Michael's wife.
Like she was playing the character almost, it felt like.
It was a very strange day. It was a day that my boyfriend had taken me to this kind of spiritualist meeting. To leave early and come to the interview for Apocalyptic was really interesting. I'd just done a couple of movies and I was just in that stress thing of going, why is it so hard to do movies? I hate doing movies. Why do I want to do another movie? Yeah, because you know the stress is so strong usually.
And everyone was like, she was scary, and I'm like, she's perfect. So I contacted her agent and said, yeah, let's get her, like we want her in the film. And her agent got back to us and said, oh, she doesn't want to do this film. And I thought, oh, damn it.
Oh, I hope they do really well. I was interested, I like this. And I say that because I actually don't like horror movies. I'm the last person, it's not my genre, I don't want to watch it. And yet, having met Glenn and done that interview, it was very clear it wasn't that, and it was something I was, you know, whatever happened, I wished Glenn well.
Then we cast someone else in the role, and she had to pull out for medical reasons, so she couldn't be in the film. And I thought, you know what, I've got to get Felicity has to be in this movie. If there's one person that came in that I'm disappointed to miss out on, it's her. So I emailed her directly and I said, you know, this other woman's pulled out. We really want you in this, and she's like, yep, I'll be there. So it happened. It was all good. So Rachel comes in, and Rachel's really good. Like I saw Rachel's show reel, and I was like mesmerised with her. I said, this girl is a really good actress.
I think it went well. I had my power jacket on. I remember I bought it and I decided that I felt strong in the jacket. The body of God. Which God?
She came in and she played for Jodie, and she was good, but it wasn't Jodie.
Yeah, didn't get the part obviously, but that's okay.
And I thought to myself, there's no other roles I have in this film for her, but she has to be. I've got to get her in a movie because she's so good, she's so believable.
It's nice, like when you don't get a role, but they want you involved. Like that's flattering, and to not have, you know, so they're kind of giving you a role that you don't know really much about, or maybe Glenn didn't really know exactly Samara's dimensions.
And so I emailed her and I said, look, I'm still working on the script, and there's other characters that are branching off and we haven't cast them yet, but if you want this particular role, I can put you on it and, you know, finish writing that arc of that character.
I heard from Glenn by email and asking me if I'd like to audition. for a role as a cult member.
Jan comes in and she was just so lovely. She was like another grandmother that I had never had.
Now the other thing you could do, now show me how you're starting. No. Cut your thread. And so I thought to myself, well, I've never seen a horror movie or a cult movie, so why not be in one?
I think Nev was a hard one as well, because all the women in this film all had unique characters straight away, and you know, all the actresses had to bring something different instead of just being a generic I think she looks likeable or she is kind of likeable. There really needed to be something there.
We're trying to find someone to play Nev and we can't find anyone. We're getting a lot of like, you know, models coming in thinking that, you know, she's meant to be a very super hyper attractive sort of woman for the role.
A few of the different girls that came in to do the audition as well. They had some of the elements, but none of them really had all the elements that they needed.
I saw a photo and she looks so kind of old-fashioned to some degree. And she came in and straight away I was like, she's great. And once again, there was other people in the room that didn't believe that, and I had to, you know, prove it to them with playing footage back and stuff like that. But yeah, I got my way with her. That sounds terrible, but we got her in the film. That's what I'm trying to say. So I just want to say thanks to everyone for being here today. We spent a lot of time trying to figure out who'd be good for this film, like a lot of time, and we're still actually looking for a lead girl at the moment. So stay tuned. Hopefully we've got someone in 48 hours, basically.
Jodie was a process. It was hard to find somebody exactly that Glenn had in mind.
Because you want someone that's educated, you want someone that's got an opinion, you don't want someone that people aren't going to get annoyed at.
And it was also hard because I was steering him towards like Megan Fox style Jodie, and he didn't want that. He wanted a real kind of person.
And it was constant. I just remember having constant conversations with Glenn about, do I think this person is right for Jodie?
And we saw heaps of girls for her. I just remember seeing constant Jodies and having nightmares sometimes of just, you know, is she right? Like, because once you choose that person, you have to go with that person. I've learned that from previous films that you have to get it right. We actually had auditions one day that finished, didn't find a Jodie. You know, it was almost a waste of a day. Came home and got an email from Jane, and I'm like, that's Jodie. You know, I think we found her.
Well, the majority of minority civilizations cease to exist after their first 7 years, so I would assume that it came to...
And so, yeah, once Glenn kind of saw it, he ended up having to try and convince me, at least, or other people as well.
And her audition wasn't as good as her showreel, but I loved her. I'm like, you know, I think you're right. We saw a few other girls as well. Wasn't, you know, I didn't get the same vibe as I did from Jodie, Jane, of course. And so she came back in 2 more times. We just kept testing her.
It was that weird thing of trying to cast the main character when you've already got the kind of the second tiers figured out, because it's almost the wrong direction.
And again, I couldn't necessarily see what Glenn was thinking. But when it got narrowed down to the last 2 girls for Jodie, it was pretty clear that Jane was the right choice.
Megan Fox was going to play Jodie, but we ended up getting someone better.
The whole idea is the film's filmed from the news team's point of view, so it's all just their cameras. There's no like outside camera, and in that same way, we can get the shoot done a lot faster because we can rehearse all the characters to start off with, and we can go and shoot like, you know, 2 or 3 scenes at the same time and don't have to worry about like focus and lighting and all these things that come up when you try to make a movie look like a movie. The basis of this script is to be almost like a template for the films. It's not locked in. I want people to come up with ideas and a lot of improv, and, you know, you make things up as you go along and make it as realistic as it can be.
Glenn and Jane and I spent a bit of time just kind of with a camera pissing about in parks, kind of making fake nature documentaries, just to get a sort of a sense of the shtick between Jane's character and my character.
You're seriously going to leave? You're just going to walk out on this story? This is your job, Kevin.
Groups of 2?
Everything. You're about 25 years.
Okay.
Yes.
I
Are we holding you up? Is there somewhere that you...
Yeah, it's mainly maybe like they're just, everyone's very normal. Jodie's just sort of having a chat and trying to get the scoop. This thing's going to be very dark.
Sorry?
Yeah. It's good to know where she's coming from. So Michael's going to join you guys for dinner. Just keep talking as you work.
Nobody is throwing rocks at her.
Yeah, are they both tense? Yeah, sorry. Yeah, the colours are alright. I think they look okay actually. Because they're going to have cutlery and plates.
once a year or something, they get like a tray and then end up having a... I'm flooded.
Yeah, we're thinking for that scene, do you think, would Nev just voluntarily walk?
It's not actually very hard at all. It's incredibly easy.
They don't do anything creepy whatsoever.
Yeah, I didn't want to...
Or whatever is creepy is left out. The fact that they are completely normal and completely immersed into what they believe.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Some weird place that blends.
I know.
Yeah.
The location was an interesting one because of the content of the film. The location was going to be key, and we needed to be there for the whole time that we needed to shoot.
Chris found the location. Chris went scouting and he found a whole bunch of locations. This is the first one he sent to me in photos.
And Glenn and I went out and had a look at Cataminga Lodge.
Well, I remember going up to the location with Glenn and Chris the first time they were checking it out. And it really was amazing, just to see, just to have an old set there.
And it was great. It was just this big open, big wide open sort of range. And then you've got this big hill that leads up to the forest, and then down the bottom you've got this hut. And there was a big town sort of to the side, and we were thinking maybe we can film in the town.
And we're like, oh, it's a little bit western and that kind of thing. And
I was surprised. I couldn't believe they'd fully built a town that was like your olden days.
So I think after seeing it for the first time, we still sort of went to look for other places. But I think when Glenn really just sort of set his sights on that just one building and sort of thought, no, most of it could just sort of be around there, Glenn kind of fell in love with that. And it was really beautiful.
Once Glenn got out there, I guess he could picture it, and so he knew that he wanted to shoot there. Well, to get all the cast up there, because it was in rural Victoria, is it rural? Rural.
It was great. I mean, we went up into the hills on this sort of wonderful old location that's been used for a bunch of Australian westerns over the years.
The scenery, the set was magnificent. The countryside was extraordinary. And to see kangaroos hopping across the road was completely amazing. And yes, it was cold.
Well, it was very cold, and my mum, she does not like the cold.
I kind of prepared. I wasn't quite prepared as I thought, because it got seriously cold.
Well, we travelled there and it was like having the best holiday ever.
I'm up at the house at the moment. This is the first morning of filming. No one is here yet, as you can sort of see around the room. Just an empty room at the moment. Everything's set up, ready to go, and lots of supplies.
I was upset when we had accommodation. I thought that we should be sleeping in the sticks and, on the ground with the rats and the mice.
I'm excited. My back is in. Good morning, everybody.
But yeah, I was surprised that he'd got all this money together. He put us up in a, fancy hotel.
But we did have a couple of disasters. The first day we wanted to make pumpkin soup, and we had no gas, which we didn't realise until the pot had been on the stove for like an hour. And Chris, we had to walkie-talkie Chris, and he sorted us out. He took us to one of the other rooms, which was freezing. So I'm pretty sure we turned the oven on to help warm it up.
Someone left the oven on, and I thought I was going to die of asphyxiation.
The oven was still on, and I think he thought we were trying to kill him, but we weren't. We were just trying to keep warm.
Well, it was very interesting. The first night I came up early as usual. Tired, went to bed, and then about 12 o'clock the door opened and there was Chris Gibson.
So yeah, I I promise I won't walk in on anyone while they're sleeping.
That's all right, Chris.
Anymore.
I enjoyed the minute.
Snuggles?
Took me back a few years. And so he backed out looking reasonably embarrassed, but it was funny.
But yeah, I just want to say thanks to everyone for coming up. I'm very excited to get this film started. You guys are all great, so I think it's going to be a really cool, fun experience.
Actually, we rolled in the mud and then we went to this, we found a really muddy puddle, and when we just dropped the bottom bits of our dress thingies into. It's there.
But it was foggy outside on the first morning, and I thought, we're going to mess up. Like, continuity's going to be a killer. Like, that's not going to match to anything. And then I thought, hang on a second, this fog is awesome. Like, we're not going to get this again. So let's just get out there and start filming. And we made the continuity work later. Just edited things around.
The whole place was just ideal, really, because you have this really old house, and then you've just got this massive amount of land around it. And yeah, it just really fit. I thought it really fitted the bill.
Glenn needs to be on the location all the time because we're trying to smash out this 80-page script, 90-page script in 3 days. So we had to have actors going back and forth from the location, which was probably only about a kilometre away from the accommodation and the location.
Alright, so yeah, if you guys just want to walk around, start moving some wood, picking things out of the ground, just sitting and chatting on here, just anywhere around here is going to look great. So
Yeah, the veggie patch over there?
yeah,
Okay?
anything you want to do is fine, whatever you think you would be doing.
The director was incredible because he basically left us alone, not really alone, he directed us, but then if he saw something that we were just doing by ourselves, he just let people go. And I think that way there was a lot of creativity in the air and people let themselves relax.
Is she okay?
My job in general is, because I work as a fight choreographer, and so when we were looking at the seizure, Rachel was going, oh, how are you going to pick me up? How's that going to work? And Fred was going, this is your moment of expertise, and so we just went to the Google, we went to the YouTube, and we were looking at all the seizures. And once you see it, it just is great. And then we were working out where to pick her up, and it was really easy.
Yeah, so what happens is, on action, this camera's going to wobble, you guys in hysteria, scream. Jane's going to take a few steps back, then come back into it, grab a knife. Scream. Yeah.
But the screaming girl scene, where she just started screaming, I had no idea that was going to happen. And I kind of freaked out because she screamed really well. Like really loud, really well, and for ages. Oh shit.
Say go in peace. Give me no red cordial.
Oh, your teeth are red. Oh my god. Well, it was a really good experience, and yeah, I really like Zoe as well. We mucked around a bit, and it was funny.
You get when you cross a parrot and a centipede. Oh, walkie-talkie. I just told you. A parrot walkies and a parrot talkies. No, a centipede walkies and a parrot talkies.
The shoot was good. It actually felt, I remember I would describe it to friends as like a country escape with screaming. At like night time. But it was in a really nice place. Like I would go back just to be there. Like I found it really calm.
I asked Grant to come along because I wanted to get some publicity sort of photos and stuff, and Grant's photography is awesome.
No, my approach was to try and take photos of what was happening behind the scenes, but as I went on, I found that it was difficult because I would often be in the shot, so it was hard to take a photo of someone's face while they were shooting, because I was shooting at their face and I'd be behind that, so I'd be in the shot. So consequently, I didn't get as many good-looking face shots that I wanted, only when they weren't shooting. But you kind of want to take photos when the movie was actually being shot, so it was a bit difficult, to be honest.
So I'd never used a camera before in any kind of meaningful way, so a lot of the footage in the film that is kind of looks a lot like that it's pointing in the wrong direction and is sort of running around is pretty much me. And then a lot of the shots where it looks a lot more kind of beautifully framed, that was the camera operators who know what they're doing, setting it up and me standing behind it and pretending that I'd done that.
Oh, well, in that case, I'm sorry.
It's okay, Kevin. Listen to her.
Well, as a feminist, she should be allowed to determine her own destiny.
Who will cast the first stones?
You know, bottom line is you do know you're doing a movie, it is just a story. He speaks to everyone. All depends on how hard you listen.
And did he tell you to tie Samara to a tree?
Now, Samara's actions have declared the beginning of the second part of the prophecy.
The screaming of the girls.
The screaming of the girls, correct. I know, it's very hard to explain, this one. I mean, I was in the mindset of this is just normal behaviour for me. This is what I do. So, from that sense, it's not disturbing. And because I was in that mindset while it was actually being filmed, it wasn't David. Because for me, I think if I had shown, because I think if you feel something while you're being filmed, it will come out. You know, the camera will pick it up. I mean, that's the whole thing, isn't it? When you go to acting classes in schools, they tell you, it's in your eyes.
Kevin's, yeah.
Yes, I was planning on having a snack.
Glenn said, can you be close to Jodie and Jeff because they don't have mics? And you know, when I'm looking at everybody's character, and everybody's character has really come up with their own particular thing. And I thought, God, my character, she's got, you know, that distance thing where she can't tell distance. she's too close to people all the time, and it looks really weird, you know, because there's the show, and I'm like always there. It's like I'm too close.
Yep. We start recording. Face your camera to the phone. Great recording. And this is take one, table scene. And then I go, just make it.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Very sick.
In the dark a lot, I guess, because, you know, the cameras only had the lights on the cameras, and so when it came to shooting at night time, everything else was dark. So you had a lot of night vision going on for most of it as well.
I don't know if there's like...
There's chairs.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Yes and yes.
Really, really terrifying.
Yeah, it's very terrifying.
It's really, really scary.
We looked through windows and there was people with blood everywhere.
Yeah, some spooky shit going on. The Garden of Hands was a particularly spooky moment.
It certainly was.
Glenn gave me a bag of hands and said there needs to be a burial scene, and you know, that day he'd kind of said this location, general location somewhere around here would be good, and so I went there in the pitch black and just dug some hands into the ground.
Hand finding scene, take one.
Take one.
It was great because we just sort of went out and just went for this great big long walk.
You know, when the guys came across it, it was the first time they actually saw it.
Oh my God, what was that?
Wide shots of like the fireplaces at night in the distance.
Oh my God.
Got a bit lost.
Just did everything we could to just send the shits up each other. Like we're just really getting quite on edge and terrified and listening to all this sort of creaking wood and trees in the wind. And
what was that?
I don't know.
It was kind of fun scary because we were quite kind of excited but able to kind of take the fun out of that and then try to get this job done of filming this mass grave that we'd discovered. And it was nice to be able to just kind of be unleashed from a director lighting kind of like just be able to go out a couple of actors and find the circumstances of the scene and film it and be kind of alone in that world.
Hey, take a photo of me! That's pretty.
That's good.
Dark.
It's darker, yeah. Let's try some of that, see if that can taste maybe yuck, sarsaparilla, Coke
You're
flavour.
gonna get something in beer.
The idea was to shoot everything up at location, Kataminga Lodge. So we shot everything up there, came home, and then I thought a few weeks later we'll get together and we'll shoot this newsroom scene.
Well, the ending was a bit of a surprise, of course, because there were so many options, but and I didn't actually know what the ending was going to be, which was kind of nice, so that was good.
Well, I don't know really about the ending of the film. We didn't know till that night which ending. I'd heard a rumour that there were a number of endings.
A film is not a film without an ending. It needs to end. Even the never-ending story had an ending. So you need one. And you need a good one as well.
Well, first I had to go to the studio to do that one shoot.
So I got all the actors to come in, we got a news reporter to come in, we got everyone there and we shot this news scene.
During that interview, the child who was saved stabs Jane, fulfilling the prophecy that she's the last woman to be killed.
Starts, killing herself, and you see Michael's image in the background smiling and giggling because that was like a precursor to the previous scene.
Amy, stop! Amy, stop!
Got home, edited the scene, thought it was good, made it a bit bigger. Bethany came home one night, put it on the screen, watched it, and all of a sudden something clicked in my head and I went, this is not good.
It just completely took you out of this mood that you were in from watching the whole film, because it just has this really nice tone to it. And then when we watched the end with the news thing, it just, to be honest, it just gave it this cheesy factor.
The cutting was wrong, the mood was off. It jumped out, like the rest of the film, because we planned the rest of the film so much, it just jumped out of it so badly.
Which Glenn didn't want, I didn't want. It just seemed not right.
We need to end this film and I have no idea how to end it. Like, if we're not going to use that ending, what the hell are we going to do? And we had heaps of meetings, like, we sat down, we had a lot of people over and we showed them the ending and the film and the lead up.
We sort of hit on the idea of, like, what if you just don't know what happens to them?
We filmed 3 different endings.
About 3 or 4 different ones?
I think I'd filmed 2 different endings.
I wanted to shoot a petrol station scene where they go to this petrol station and Amy goes in and kills everyone, comes outside and she hangs herself in front of the petrol station. You see her legs dangle.
So then we kind of got onto this idea of the search and rescue kind of thing. So that was one of the endings. Glenn used it as a teaser, bit of a teaser trailer for it. So that was a bit of fun. We got a few friends and went up to a forest that just happened to obviously look like the one that we originally shot the rest of the film in.
And then we filmed an ending wherein David catches Jane, wherein the cult leader, Michael Godson, catches the journalist, and then Kevin returns from the woods and manages to save the day. It's my favourite.
Good God, that does things.
I'd seen a few previews of certain endings that Glenn had planned, and I wasn't sold on really any of them, and I was a bit confused in which direction he was going.
Yeah, then I thought, let's just keep it simple. Just have the camera just drops, you're not sure who did it. Then you see Amy walk in front of the camera and you're like, oh, okay, it must be the girl. She exits a shot and then her feet enter and dangle. And she's hanging, and I thought, let's start the earthquake, let's make the apocalypse, the apocalyptic event.
I'm kind of glad the ending that was chosen in the end was chosen.
So yeah, I'm in the group of people who liked the ending the way that it happened in the script, and I'm just going to put my little bonus features. Maybe that's in the bonus features here, as in the bonus features. Yeah.
But eventually it got done, and it was a great ending. It's definitely the best out of all of the endings that were made.
I thought it was going to be a hard shoot. It was 2 days to do a movie, and I thought it was going to be so hard and cold. Let's face it, a lot of the scripts out there, cold, hard, unpleasant, and you just have to be a professional and get through it. That's what I thought it would be. And it turned out to be the most delightful kind of creative time in a beautiful, beautiful place. It was like going for a holiday, and and then working on something, which was great. And that was the most surprising thing.
I suppose the thing that did surprise me a little bit, even though we talked about it and we all knew that this was the way it was going to be, was that it was, for the bulk of the cast, it was a 3-day shoot, which represents a significant chunk of the movie. And the fact that we got it all done, I mean, I always knew we would, but at the end of it, I was still surprised that we had, in a way, because 3 days is not very long.
I originally worried a lot that if the found footage stuff didn't work, like if the scenes of, the dinner scene and the stoning scene, if some of that stuff didn't really work, we could fall back on the interviews. I thought the interviews would hold a structure throughout the film, and it turned out to be the opposite. The interviews slowed the pace of the film down dramatically, and the rest of the film is what was magical about it. It just worked so much better than anything else. So
I saw the final film at the premiere with my family, so I was naturally nervous because they were my grandchildren and my kids. But I was entranced.
And certainly talking to people that I've watched it with, they were all like, said, this is really creepy. Like at the end of it, it was like, that's a really creepy film.
Sounds strange, but I never really doubted that it, wasn't going to be good. I always just assumed it was going to be good.
It was the most fun I've had on a shoot ever. Yeah.